The service elevator smelled like ammonia and yesterday's seafood. Around me, waitstaff bustled with platters and flower arrangements, unaware that the woman in the simple navy Altuzara dress owned the entire resort. "First time working the rooftop suite?" a young man asked kindly, noting my pause at the threshold. "Something like that," I replied, adjusting the vintage diamond studs I'd worn the day we'd closed the acquisition of the Pacific Ember Hotel Group. This very resort included. "Just last summer." "The Holloways are tough," he whispered, "especially the daughter. She made the florist cry twice." Ah yes, my future daughter-in-law, Charlotte Holloway. According to every glossy Napa Valley lifestyle magazine, she was engaged to brilliant young architect Daniel Romero, carefully skipping the part about his mother, the founder of Romero Urban Design and majority shareholder of this property. Inside the suite, controlled chaos reigned. At the center stood Charlotte, dripping in a pale blue gown, worth more than my first car. "No, absolutely not," she snapped at the event planner. "The linens are blush, not rose, and these napkin folds look cheap." "Is there an issue?" I asked gently. Charlotte turned, glossy hair swinging. "Who are you? You're not in uniform." "I'm Isabel Romero, Daniel's mother." Recognition flickered. Then came the frost. "Oh. He said you might arrive early to assist." She scanned my dress. "Staff should have directed you to the staging area. Looks like they got it right." "Indeed," I smiled, watching her confusion build. "Though I assumed I'd be on the welcome line with my son." Just then, Charlotte's mother swept in, Vivian Holloway, recognizable from every gala and foundation dinner in San Francisco. "Charlotte, love, guests are arriving, and oh," her voice lilted like champagne foam, "you must be Daniel's mother." The pause between must and mother was surgical. 15 years ago it might have cut. Today it only entertained. "Mrs. Holloway?" I nodded. "Stunning venue. The redesign really honors the building's character. You must thank my architects." "Guess well," Vivian Holloway said with a dismissive flick of her manicured hand. "The new ownership spared no expense, though I preferred the last group. They understood standards." I bit back a smile, remembering how the previous owners had nearly wept during their pitch to retain control. They hadn't realized that Isabel Romero, the quiet Latina architect sitting at the end of the boardroom, wasn't just consulting. She was buying them out. "Mother?" Charlotte interjected, eyeing me. "Shouldn't we go over the seating arrangements, given the circumstances?" "Of course, darling." Vivian's smile turned syrupy sweet. "Mrs. Romero, we've arranged a charming spot for you. In the private dining area. With the staff, so you'll feel more comfortable," I finished for her, glancing at my watch, an understated Patek Philippe worth more than their entire flower budget. "How considerate." Just then, Daniel's voice rang across the room. "Mom." He looked effortlessly polished in his charcoal suit, the kind of presence that made executives pause. The same young man who'd found $250,000, 0 cents, in startup funds mysteriously waiting on his 21st birthday. "Daniel, sweetheart." Charlotte rushed over, looping her arm through his. "I was just helping your mother find her seat." "In the kitchen?" His expression cooled. "Charlotte, we talked about this." "It's fine," I said gently. "I'm comfortable here." Vivian Holloway gave a short laugh. "Well, given your background, we assumed you'd prefer something informal." Daniel took a sharp step forward, but I caught his eye and gave the smallest shake of my head. He knew that look. My boardroom face, the one that preceded hostile takeovers and shattered glass ceilings. "Perhaps," I said, "we should focus on welcoming the guests. I believe they're arriving." Right on cue, the elevator chimed. Napa's elite spilled into the space, pearls, patent leather, and performative affection. "Mom," Daniel leaned close. "You don't have to take this. Just say the word and ruin the surprise?" I straightened his tie, amused. Why spoil the fun? He stifled a grin. "You're enjoying this." "Immensely," I said, brushing his cheek. "Now go. Be the perfect fiancé." I'll just enjoy my little corner of the empire. Charlotte's father, Douglas Holloway, was holding court near the terrace, entertaining a group of retired venture capitalists with loud jokes and louder scotch. Across the room, Vivian Holloway was steering wide-eyed debutantes away from Charlotte's fiancé like a one-woman PR firm, and Charlotte herself, floating through the crowd with the grace of a society princess. Except for the constant anxious glances she kept casting toward the kitchen doors. "More champagne, ma'am?" came a gentle voice. It was the same server from earlier. I glanced at her name tag. "Thank you, Claire." "How long have you worked here?" I asked. 3 years, she said cautiously. "But we're nervous about the new ownership. Lots of rumors going around." "Good ones, I hope," I smiled. "Better benefits, for one, and no tolerance for guests mistreating staff." Her eyes widened. "How would you—" Before I could answer, Douglas Holloway's booming voice cut across the crowd. "And where's the mother of the groom? Hiding in the kitchen? Surely she's not too shy to join us." Conversation stilled. Charlotte paled. Vivian's smile tightened like a vice. I stepped into the ballroom, champagne in hand. "Not shy, Mr. Holloway. Just admiring your daughter's impeccable eye for venues." "Ah, there you are." His face was flushed, equal parts drink and ego. "Tell me, what do you think of all this luxury? Quite the leap from your usual surroundings, I'd imagine." The air thickened. Even Daniel went still, knowing that look in my eyes. "Actually," I said, sipping slowly, "I find the penthouse comfortable. Though the East Wing renovation is a few weeks behind schedule. Permit delays, if I recall?" Douglas blinked. "How would you know that?" "The same way I know about the unresolved health code issues in the kitchen, the unpaid overtime, and that your standing reservation was nearly declined last month due to a bounced deposit." Silence fell. Vivienne stepped forward, her voice brittle. "Who are you?" I smiled, channeling every power-playing stereotype they'd ever projected. "Just the help, Mrs. Holloway, though some know me as Isabel Romero, CEO of Pacific Ember Properties." I let the moment land. "You may prefer landlord." Vivian's glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the marble. Charlotte looked ready to faint. Douglas's jaw slackened. That's not possible. Pacific Ember is owned by IR Group." I handed my glass to Claire. "It is. Isabel Romero Group. I do enjoy a little anonymity. Keeps things interesting. If you're enjoying watching the quiet power unfold, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss what happens when Isabel finally takes the mic, because this party is just getting started." Daniel stepped forward, barely hiding his grin. "Should I mention the other properties Mom owns? The golf club your dad brags about. The marina where your family docks the yacht each summer." Charlotte's voice cracked. "You knew? All this time?" "Of course he knew," I said calmly. "Though I admit watching you try to stash his embarrassing mother in the kitchen was revealing, especially since your family's membership at the St. Helena Club is due for review next month." Vivian clutched her husband's arm. "Douglas, say something." "Yes, Douglas," I echoed lightly. "Say something. Maybe start with why your last 3 reservation checks bounced. Or should we discuss the offshore accounts keeping your lifestyle afloat?" A hush had fallen over the guests, many now subtly recording with their phones. Tomorrow's Napa Society blogs would have a feast. Douglas straightened his back. "You can't just barge in and—" "Actually, I can," I said smoothly. "It's my resort." I turned to Claire, who stood nearby, still clutching her tray. "Claire, please inform the team that all staff will receive double pay for tonight's event, plus bonuses for tolerating difficult guests." Charlotte stepped closer, her voice trembling. "Daniel, please. I didn't know. I swear." Daniel's expression was ice. "Didn't know what? That you would have treated my mother with respect if she were rich?" "That's worse, Charlotte." "Perhaps," I interrupted, "we should continue this somewhere less public, unless you'd like to debut on tonight's trending reels." The Holloways followed me into the private dining room. Ironically, the one they'd tried to relegate me to. Once inside, Douglas crossed his arms. "What do you want? A board seat? A payout?" I let out a quiet laugh. Mr. Holloway, I hold controlling interest in 3 hotel chains, 2 regional airlines, and yes, that country club you're so fond of. What exactly do you think you can offer me? Then why? Vivian's voice trembled. Why humiliate us? Because you needed to be reminded that titles don't define worth, and neither does wealth. I looked directly at Charlotte, that how you treat people matters. I love Daniel, she whispered. This isn't about money. I raised a brow. So you'd have proudly introduced his immigrant mother to your friends? Even without the net worth? Would you have seated the housekeeper who raised him at the main table? I asked softly. Posted photos with the woman who worked 3 jobs to send him to college? Charlotte looked away, the silence answering more than words ever could. The irony, Daniel said quietly, is that Mom hasn't cleaned houses in over 20 years. He glanced at me, eyes steady, but if she had, I'd still be proud to be her son. She taught me that real class isn't about money. It's about how you treat people. Douglas sank into a chair, his face a shade lighter than his collar. The club memberships, the hotel accounts, the marina slips, I said calmly. All under review, as is every interaction your family has had with my staff. I take employee dignity very seriously, Mr. Holloway. We can explain, Vivian began quickly. I'm sure you can, I said. You can explain why you wear couture while bouncing vendor checks, why you pose as philanthropists while demeaning the people who serve you. I checked my watch. You have 2 choices. I can announce, right now and very publicly, the termination of every privilege your family holds at my properties. Or, Charlotte whispered, or, I continued, you spend the next year proving you can change. Start tonight, go upstairs and apologize, personally, to every single team member you've mistreated. Establish a foundation, I added, with your own money. Not mine. A real fund for hospitality workers' education. And show me you've learned something besides how badly you misjudged the wrong woman. Daniel stepped forward. And my engagement? Charlotte's face faltered. For the first time, her flawless composure cracked. This, I said gently, is between you and the woman who thought his mother wasn't good enough to greet her guests. Charlotte surprised me. She straightened, eyes glistening but clear. I don't deserve you, either of you. But if you'll let me, I'd like to try to earn your respect. She turned to leave. Starting with helping in the kitchen I once looked down on. Charlotte, Vivian gasped. No, Mother. Her voice grew steadier. We were wrong, and I want to make it right. I studied her face, finally unguarded, sincere. Well then, I said, let's return to the party. I believe you have some apologies to make. As the Holloways filed out, Daniel lingered and caught my arm. You knew this would happen. You let them dig their own grave. I adjusted his tie and smiled. Sometimes they need to see the dirt for themselves. Your Charlotte might just bloom after all. If she proves she can change, Daniel said, his voice steady. If she proves it, I echoed with a nod. Now, shall we go enjoy the grand Holloway apology tour? What unfolded over the next hour was more satisfying than any hostile takeover I'd ever executed. Charlotte, her designer gown now hidden beneath a borrowed kitchen apron, worked diligently beside the very team she'd once dismissed. Vivian Holloway, still looking shell-shocked, made the rounds with a tray of hors d'oeuvres, offering them with tight smiles to stunned guests. And Douglas, ashen and silent, scribbled out personal checks to cover his bounced payments, each one accompanied by a hefty gratuity and an apology. An elderly woman in diamonds leaned in close to Daniel. Your mother, she whispered, is magnificent. We've all dreamt of someone humbling the Holloways. Tonight, she did it. Tomorrow's society columns would be a riot. Napa's elite would feast on the spectacle of the region's loudest power couple humbled at their own future in-laws' engagement party. But it was Claire, the young server from earlier, who brought the moment full circle. Esther Romero, she said nervously, approaching me as the music began to fade. We just wanted to say, we've worked hundreds of events, served some of the wealthiest people in California. But you're the first who treated us like we mattered. I gently touched her arm. That's because I was you. 25 years ago, I was scrubbing bathrooms between business school lectures. I held her gaze. Never let anyone make you feel small because of how you earn your living. Charlotte approached, her hair slightly frizzed, eyes red, but something had shifted. I've been awful, haven't I? Self-awareness is a solid first step, I said, but what matters is what you do next. I want to set up scholarships, she said quietly. For the staff, if you'll help me do it right. I noticed Daniel watching us, less guarded now. On condition, I said, you'll spend 1 month working in this hotel. Not shadowing, not pretending, working. Early mornings, late nights, angry guests. Then we'll talk about funding. She didn't flinch. When do I start? Tomorrow, 5 a.m. Wear flats. As she rushed off to inform her stunned parents, Daniel joined me. You're seriously putting her on hotel duty? I'm giving her the best education money can't buy. I watched Vivian fumble with water glasses, trying not to spill. As for her parents, I smiled. They're due for lessons of their own, starting with a full audit of every dollar they've touched in my properties. The music faded. Guests trickled out, clutching stories no PR firm could ever bury. Charlotte had swapped her designer heels for a pair of worn kitchen flats, borrowed from a staff locker. Her manicured hands were now smudged and unsteady from actual labor. Ms. Romero, she corrected herself as she approached us. I know I don't deserve another chance, she said, voice low but steady. But I want to earn a place in your family, not because of your status or your wealth, but because Daniel deserves someone who understands what matters. I looked at her closely. The mascara was smudged, the composure cracked, but beneath it was something solid. Determination. You know, Charlotte, I said slowly, 25 years ago, another polished family told me I wasn't good enough. Said I didn't belong in their world. What happened to them? She asked. I bought their company, I replied. Renamed it, built the foundation of my empire with their failure. I smiled faintly, but more importantly, I never became them. Remember that when you're scrubbing floors at 6 a.m. As we walked toward the valet, Daniel glanced at me. Did you plan all of this, letting them think you were just part of the staff? Sometimes, I said, the only way to see who someone really is to let them think they have the power. I gave his cheek a light pat. Your Charlotte might surprise us. She's the first Holloway to volunteer for hard work. And if she fails, he asked. Then she fails, I said, but failing while trying to grow, that's worth more than succeeding with a rotten heart. I glanced back at the hotel, remembering my younger self, changing linens and dreaming bigger. Daniel, sometimes the sweetest revenge isn't showing them what you've built, it's showing them why they were wrong to look down on you at all. He hugged me tightly. You're amazing, Mom. That's what mothers do, I said. We clean the messes, teach the hard lessons, and occasionally buy the hotel laundry room too. I smiled. Now how about dinner? I know a perfect little place. Oh? He asked. I bought it last week. If you saw yourself in my story, if you've ever been underestimated, dismissed, or told you didn't belong, then I invite you to leave a comment below. Tell me, what would you have done in my shoes? And if my story moved you, subscribe to this channel so we can keep shining a light on quiet strength. Remember, success isn't about proving your worth with power. It's about showing grace when others expect revenge. Stand tall, stay kind, and never forget. The ones who try to bury you often forget you were a seed. Let's grow something powerful together.